head into college and into your professional life. Lastly, to our contributors that are going to be honored here tonight, thank you for your support. Without all of our programs at our school, athletic programs, without your continuous support, we're not able to achieve the greatness on and off the playing surface. So thank you to you guys for all that you do for Payson High School. Again, guys, I hope that everyone has a special night tonight. It's great to meet a lot of you, and I hope everyone enjoys themselves, and it's great to be a Longhorn. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. So who was at the game last night? Were all you guys there? Wow, what a game. I know I was there. And what a scene, and what a community. Oh my. That's what small town high school football and athletics is all about. Huge crowd, senior night, great weather, and beat your arch rival. I kind of wish it would have been Snowflake, but oh well. And beat him in the last minute. I mean, let me just tell you, that last about 3 minutes, that lasted 48 minutes, I never even announced because you guys were so loud, I just laid my microphone down, turned it off, and watched like all you guys. You can ask Chris Higgins and Brian Bowman. They were doing the announcing and I was just standing there because it was just great scene, and how exciting. I'd like to read a Hall of Fame statement, prepared statement by the Hall of Fame. So I'll be looking down. In 2015, the Payson High School Hall of Fame started as an idea. The athletic director at the time, Brian Cromer, I think I pronounced that right, recognized the rich tradition of Payson High School and thought there should be a way to remember and celebrate the athletes and the coaches. The Hall of Fame began by asking coaches, former players, administrators, community members for their input on how athletes and coaches should be chosen and honored. Once this process was completed, the first ceremony was held. The initial inductees included coaches that many consider the foundation of Payson High School athletics and the culture of the Payson High School. I actually got to meet some of these guys as they were part of the committee that I sat in on for this event tonight, and it was an honor to be in the room with them, so that was great. The Payson High School Hall of Fame continues to be an avenue to celebrate the storied athletic tradition in Payson High School and its athletes. All the proceeds for this event will go directly to the Hall of Fame banquet. All the many volunteers tonight are non-paid volunteers. And at this time, I would like all of the Hall of Fame current members to stand up, please. Come on, guys. If you can remain standing, please. And let the rest of us stand as well. Everybody stand. Because I'm going to introduce Soraya Stonebrick. Come on out. And she will lead us in the national anthem. Soraya.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous flight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets
Soraya Stonebrick, and she's a homeschool student and also a member of the high school, Payson High School volleyball team. Thank you, Soraya. Now I would like to call Chuck Hart up, and he's going to lead us in the benediction. Here you go, Chuck.
Real quick, Dan Reed and Don Heiser have to mention that you've got to understand, they did so much to make this happen. And I think Dennis would agree that they went beyond. So I just want you to know that, yeah, they deserve an applause, but it's hard to understand just how much they did to make this special for all of you. So thank you. Let's go before the Lord, please. Father God, we just want to take a moment here to thank you for those things you do in our lives and moments that we're not even aware of. I personally want to thank you for your awesome grace and you're allowing me to live the life that I live in comfort. I want to wish that and pray that the family and friends that couldn't make it tonight, that they're safe and well and enjoying their lives also. As we get ready to partake in this food, we ask you that it would honor your Son, Jesus Christ, and in this we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Chuck. Okay, this isn't table delivery food. It's cafeteria style food. So, let's see, who drew the long straw? Was it this side? Yes. You guys begin, I'm pretty sure that's what they want me to do. You guys begin on this side, get in line, and once we've run through this half, then we'll do this half. Sorry you guys drew the short one. So. Go ahead, don't be bashful. Thank you for everybody coming out tonight.
make your way back up there. It's a great time for something. What is it a great time for if you're still seated?
I know that is a great time to be a Longhorn. Hey, all you people that have to wait, unfortunately, if we still have 50-50 tickets for sale at the front there, as well as the raffle stuff. So if you haven't got involved in that yet and still want to, there's plenty of time.
I know there's not a whole lot of tickets in our bucket raffles, so your odds are phenomenal right now. No surprise that Kurtz has got the most tickets in there to go fishing with him, but there's a foursome to the Game Club, a foursome to Chaparral Pines, there's a really nice thing over here at the Fairways Restaurant over at Payson Golf Course, some gift cards there as well, so there's a lot of great prizes.
You've been summoned. Okay, Coach Perch is just eating cake. What? There's a big gap in the line over there. That K-Rim is streaming this event live on their Facebook page. So if you want to text one of your friends or call them or something that aren't here, they can actually watch the presentations. Remember, Jake, we were supposed to remember that. Sorry, Chris, I got you now. You know that far table over here to the right? What number is that? Yeah. 30, okay. 24 through 30, please join the line. I feel like Monty Hall up here or something. If anybody knows who he is.
Mark, I think this is the right age group for my house.
Jake, did you find Kyle yet? Isn't that far table even? You guys right there? Get in line. Grab a line, guys. Jake, are you out there somewhere? Or are you eating?
I'm here. Still.
Did you find Kyle?
I'm talking Iowa football, so Iowa didn't play well today, but
They got beat again.
I'm going to come get Kyle here in a second, but I'm going to let me eat, and then I want to talk to him. I heard he's a dude. They just said a dude. And I'm like, okay. I'm excited to hear about
I
that.
believe you.
The Reed boys were saying that when we wrestled, he looked like a cat out there, just like a ball of yarn. People come out there and he just whap him around and let him hit him. So I'm excited to talk to this guy soon.
Okay, very good. We found him. Oh, you know, here's another thing I haven't pointed out yet. Back there by the food tables, there's a big black curtain and it's got 5 banners hanging, and those are representing the years of the Hall of Fame listed coming in that year. So it starts with 2015 up until this year. So take some time sometime tonight and go over and look and check out the names, and maybe you know some of them, and maybe they bring back good memories or whatever, but make sure you check those out. Thank you. Fill up the gap over there in the line. There's a big opening. Moving forward, everybody. Both sides of the table. This is the hardest part of my job. Keep moving forward, everybody. Oh, Jake's got some 50-50 tickets. Oh, they're not yours, okay. You do know that you're drawing the winning number out of that bucket, don't you? It's been designated and you're doing it, Jake.
Not buying any.
That's a lot of pressure.
Not buying any.
Well, Coach Young, we get them all in. guess everybody else can get in line. Let's just do it. That way everybody's forced to get through the line quicker. And everybody get up, stretch their legs, and get in line. There's a big gap in the line over there. Please move forward. Everybody get in line. I know it's a long one. Oh, or is it a Longhorn? Now that everybody's in line, I am going to take 5 minutes myself, so I will be back shortly.
I saw, I couldn't look.
Hey, Jen, did you get any of those desserts? Oh, no.
Well, that comes right up. That's wonderful.
Watching the dogs while they took out
Mark, do you have me up there? It's taken all night, but I've got Kyle Hinton, and he's here. I got McDaniels next.
Kyle was hard to find. Where is that guy?
Kyle's here.
There he is.
I'm here, and like I said, Dennis Perch, who doesn't tell fish stories at all, I don't think, but Dennis Perch told me this guy is one of the few guys ever to be unanimously voted in as an all-star in team sports, which is pretty significant considering the...
And name the three sports.
Oh, I knew you were going to ask me. Football, wrestling, and baseball. I didn't know the baseball thing, but then I was told he went down to
What position did he play in baseball?
Played everything. Everything, Mark.
Okay.
You went down to CAC, is that right, Kyle? Okay.
Yes,
And then you were, what would you wrestle? Was it
half of what I am now.
all right, 125. So, yeah, absolutely, man. 160. And you were, what the Reed boys said was that you used to just take your opponent and play with them like a ball of yarn until you decided to pin them. Is that true?
No, I don't think that's true. I can work out a little bit.
Those are like fledgling group, so.
Very humble is what I'm hearing here. So,
Yeah.
Kyle, what are you playing football?
The running back and some linebacker.
You got to build on the linebacker. So, all I've heard is great things, Kyle. You're a man of few words, but from what I've been told is one of the best male athletes to ever come out of Payson High School. So,
That is incredible. Thank you, Kyle.
before you get going, I want to talk to Travis Christensen, who had a 53-yard run last night for the Longhorns and a game to win by 1 point. So Travis, stand on up, man.
Hey, Travis, was that your longest run from scrimmage ever?
I think so.
Yeah, I do too. That was awesome.
We were talking earlier, it's one thing to beat Blue Ridge, but it's another thing to keep Blue Ridge out of the playoffs.
Yeah,
So,
I know.
damn excited, man. I was talking to Travis earlier, so Travis, what do you want to do next year? What are you looking forward to?
I'd like to play college football and study biology and become a dentist.
Wow, absolutely.
Two good choices.
Travis, for those of you guys don't know, he's going to be, we got Coach Spears over here, new head coach of the Payson Longhorns. Coach, if you're here, go ahead and stand over in the back waving. But he's going to be wrestling for Coach pretty quick here after they play the next 4 games.
I understand he's a pretty good wrestler.
He's decent, you know.
Decent.
He had a pretty good year last year. I've been watching him since I was, I don't know, probably 27. And this guy used to be around. He's been doing jiu-jitsu for how many years?
Around 5 years.
Oh, his.
Yeah, 12 years, since he was 5.
Yeah, he's just thinking of his football number 5.
Yeah. So anyways, I'm super happy to see Travis tonight getting in and everything. And like I said, known him since he was tiny. So pretty amazing. Excellent job last night. Anytime you beat Blue, it's a great night. So congratulations.
Travis Christensen. Don, are we ready to get restarted? Don Heiser.
If Heiser's slow, I could talk to Bill Lawson real quick. Because Bill Lawson's.
Yeah, you know what? Let's talk to Bill. Because I know we can't get started until Dan gets done eating.
So anyone who has been on a Payson football field over the last, I was wrong, I said 25 years, has seen Bill Lawson there because he kept the stats.
I think Bill told me longer.
How many years, Mr. Lawson?
31.
31 years of the statistician and coaching at Payson High School. So God, let's give that a round of applause real quick.
Assisted a couple of football coaches, getting started in the late 60s, early 70s, including I know you won't believe this because he did all baseball, but Tommy Mack actually had to do football 1 year, and I have the privilege of working with Tom, and we had a great time, especially going down to Parker. And we only had one play that worked, and we scored, and after that, they killed us.
Well, congratulations, Mr. Lawson. It's sure good to see you, sir.
Thank you, Bill. Okay. Thank you, Jake. Everybody got a plate and everybody got some dessert? Yes, okay. The first part of our award banquet will be the high school athletic awards. And our presenters for this will be Hall of Fame Chairman Don Heiser and Payson High School's athletic director Ryan Shirley. Ryan? So Don's going to take it away. Here you go, Don.
Thank you very much, Mark. We would like to take just a moment right now to have a moment of silence in memory of part of our sports family in the Rim Country. We received word that Patrick Schumacher, who's been the voice of K-Rim and done Payson High School athletic broadcasting for 23 years, passed away yesterday. And so we just feel that that's a member of our sports and athletic family. And if we could just have a moment of silence for Patrick. Thank you. And know that Patrick and his family will be in our continued prayers. All right, let us go ahead and move back. That right now we're going to start with the Payson High School Awards. And these awards, I'm going to make a special recognition for Chad and Kim Miner. That Chad and Kim, they did the work to custom build these for us, and that is just a very nice plaque. So thank you very much, Chad and Kim. All right, recipients, when you come up, when you're called up, if you'll go ahead and come up to Mr. Sharling, and we will go ahead and present your plaque to you. And then if you'll just pause for a second for a photo session, right photo op here, and then when you're finished, if you will then go over to the backdrop over on the right side, we can go ahead and get that taken care of, and another photo op over there with Mr. Simon. And if parents, you want to go over there and also be involved, you're welcome to do so. So, first up, so we start off, first up is our newcomer, freshman female athlete of the year. I don't believe we have ever had a freshman that was a Super Longhorn. To be a Super Longhorn, you have to participate and letter in 3 sports in the same year. So, if Chloe Hancock would please come forward. The parents of Dawn and Denise Hancock. Chloe was a member of the soccer team as a midfielder. She was a region honorable mention. She was in girls basketball. She was a point guard and a shooting guard. And in track, she ran the 200, the 400, the 800, and qualified for state in the 4x4 relay. Congratulations, Chloe. Next up, our newcomer male athlete of the year is Anderson Hatch. Anderson participated, he was a quarterback on the freshman football team. He was boys basketball, where he played forward, and he was a member of the golf team. Congratulations, Anderson. Sophomore female athlete of the year, Robin Wilson. Robin's parents, Mel and Stacy Blaine. Robin was a middle hitter on the volleyball team. In track, she ran the 200, and in the relays qualified on the 4x1 and the 4x4 team for the state meet. Congratulations, Robin. Sophomore male athlete of the year. And last night he might have gotten a leg up on the junior athlete of the year if things keep going. Would Dexter Waterman please come up? His parents are Donovan and Becky Waterman. Donovan is a member of the Payson High School Hall of Fame. In football, last year he was a receiver, running back, and a safety. He was first team all-region defensive flex player. Basketball, he was the point guard. And in baseball, he was a shortstop and was a region honorable mention. Congratulations. The junior female athlete of the award, Cadence Jacobs. Parents are Wally and Trista White. Cadence was an outside and middle hitter on the volleyball team, and in girls basketball, she was a point guard. Congratulations. The junior male athlete of the year, you've already heard from him a little bit tonight, and that is Travis Christensen. His parents are Todd and Andrea Christensen. On the football team last year, he was a running back, a linebacker, first team all-region linebacker, all-state honorable mention linebacker. And in wrestling, he was a 184-pound state champ. And I didn't hear if Jake was trying to set up a match between Kyle and Travis or not, but we'll wait and see on that. Okay, now we move into the community and the community awards as we take a look at this. Parents of the Year, Todd and Andrea Christensen. If there was a sporting event on, they were more than likely there supporting not only Travis, but all the other athletes and people there. That important to have the parents involved. Congratulations. Community Supporter of the Year. If Shane Keith would please come forward. With the representative from the Keith family. Right there. All right, the Keith family is involved in many facets with the school. That they did all of the painting, donated all the painting for the new concession stand, and many of the other academic and CTE areas, putting down epoxy floors and stuff. They assisted our VN3 in the annual golf tournament, raising money and helping to provide funds for the replacement of the Longhorn gym floor. Business of the Year, Backwoods Bar and Grill. It's Jackie Marshall here. And Jackie, I apologize for not changing the order like I was supposed to, but I didn't make it. I made it every place else. That Backwoods has a big activity there tonight, and this is in memory of Robert Marshall, and they are just absolutely invested in the community, as you can tell when you go in and take a look at the Longhorns legend wall that they have implemented in their business, and many of the people that are in our Hall of Fame are on that wall. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Sponsor of the Year, that would Tasha Miller please come forward. The sponsor of the year is our VN3 Foundation, and they have been just absolutely invaluable in their fundraising, in providing, if we've got students that cannot afford their sports fees, Ask RVN3. They take care of it. They are also integral in the replacement of the gym floor and many different areas, and they are committed. As you can go to their website and see their target and what they're trying to bring into the family. And finally, the Longhorn Award. This is an individual that they're always there, providing support and recognition and everything for our athletes and our programs. And would Emmy Whaley please come forward? Her parents, John and Carrie Whaley. Emmy was present at virtually all the sporting events, supporting teams and things like this. Fall, winter, spring, it didn't make any difference. She was there and providing positive support, all while she was being the NHS president, the vice president of FHA, involved in several of their community projects, moving in that area while taking a dual enrollment, heavy load of academic classes. Congratulations, Emmy. And right now, we're going to go ahead and move to the video. Okay, thank you.
A place where scholars, actors, athletes, and educators roam the halls. For many, it was a journey from the playgrounds of JRE and Pearson Elementary to finally wearing the purple and gold themselves. And even decades later, those colors still run deep in our veins. During my time, I watched as Pearson young men hoisted 10 wrestling state titles. I still remember watching our football team win the trophy in 81, 98, and 2008. And our track team dominating for decades. Actors shining in the light. And kids becoming men and women strengthened by the ties of this community. I've watched educators and coaches commit to these young people, teach them skills, help them learn, and watch them grow. Those before you cherished representing the purple and gold. They stood up and stood out. You have a choice to be like them. It's now your time to put in the work. Those that came before left a blueprint for you to follow, and they carved their own legacy. What will you leave behind? Welcome back. It's great to be a Longhorn.
Very good. So who coined the phrase, it's great to be a Longhorn? Does anybody know? You got it. Don Heiser. Okay. Let me see. First of all, congratulations to all the high school winners. Let's give them another big hand. At this time, those people who have to leave tonight's banquet, you're certainly excused.
Hey, Mark.
Yes, where are you, James?
I'm in the back. I'm always in the back hanging out. Nobody sees me drinking back here, so. It's a great time right now for a 50-50 blitz. We're at $1,000 already, and so if you have any interest in 50-50, go ahead, raise your hand or make your way over. Ashley, what do you want? Oh, we want to go gym. So, yep, you still have to go over to the table. I apologize. So,
Is that the entry table?
yeah, let's take about 5 minutes, talk to people at your table, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
General Raffle's going to close too soon, Mark, and I did hear that they tried to get Morgan Freeman to do that video, but they went with Dennis Birch instead, so...
They picked the right guy.
Yeah, I think he did a
They
good job.
got the right guy to do it. Did you notice that we put a little bit more wrestling in there than anything else?
Yeah.
Okay.
That could be due to our lack of basketball state championships, I'm not sure, but
We're working on that.
yeah, someday.
We got a good point guard.
Who's that, Big Dex?
I think it's
Dexter
Dexter,
point guard?
yeah.
Yeah. There was no chance if you came through elementary school between 1990, any of the 90s and 2000 when Dennis was there, you were going to end up in the wrestling room, so you had
for
no
sure.
choice. And then I remember playing basketball against some guys like R.C. LaHaye and Levi Armstrong and Caleb Miller, and it was like...
That's a pretty good list.
Good Lord, it was a Royal Rumble, and I'd leave there with black eyes and everything, and I remember wrestling throughout my short career in middle school, and I had a guy that I wrestled every day, his name was R.C. LaHaye, and I couldn't get him out, and so the next guy, the next weight class up, God, he was Larry Wilbanks, and so I couldn't beat Larry either. So they would put me the next weight class was Levi. And I didn't even go near Levi because he was going to put me on the ground every time. So
That's a tough group to draw to.
I made the joke to Coach Spear the other day. I said, I got really good at the neck bridge.
You know what though? It made you tougher.
Yeah, I would say so. That's what RC kept telling me. He's going to make you tougher. So who knows?
Good. A lot of activity over the table, Jake.
I'd like to check the perch raffle. What does the perch raffle look like?
That thing looked pretty full last time I looked at it.
It's pretty good, pretty good. Mr. Perch, occasionally, and I'm glad we don't have the same administrators anymore, but he would say, Mr. Schwartz, do you know where my Nissan truck is? And I said, yes, coach, we're talking the same spot every day. He'd say, I've got some ice chests out there. I need you to fill them with ice. Do you follow me, son? Do you follow me? And I'd be like, yes, sir, I can go fill those with ice. And about lunchtime would come, and he'd come get me, and he'd say, I've spoken with your mother, and she says it's okay to go down to the lake. So let's go to the lake, let's go get some crappies. And I'm looking at the ice chest, and I'm like, he's got 7 ice chests in the back of the truck. What are we doing? And there's no drinks or anything in it, no food. And we go down there, this is back when some of you old-time fishermen from Roosevelt knew, back with the slips. You could go into the slips and muck out maybe a couple hundred crappie a day. And
Wow.
I went with him, and I swear to God that he had probably 20 fish in the boat beforehand, and he had his legs. Everybody knows the perch, the typical perch sit. Right here, and he'd have that little crappie rod, and he'd go down, and he's like, you just gotta bend it down, and then right there, it's right, there it is, there's another one. But Dennis Birch, amazing fisherman.
Does Dennis know that you can imitate him that good?
Well, Sunday is Halloween, and I'm gonna put my wool socks and my flip-flops on and walk around with shorts and a Payson High School wrestling shirt, so. I got this guy too, Heiser.
Tell us something about Don Heiser we don't know.
Oh gosh, Don Heiser is the only guy that wasn't under 30 that went to my bachelor party at the San Juan River.
There you go. That's a good one.
And he showed up with what we call river margs, and it was a 12-pack of margaritas on the river on my bachelor party, and he's one of my closest friends. He's an amazing guy. So.
It sounded like he came prepared.
Yeah, he always was. Same one, we had an antelope on it, and he showed up with an ice chest and like a 6-pack of Alaskan amber after a long day. And I'm like, oh my gosh, but we were just blessed in Payson to have such a, veteran and amazing, coaches and mentors throughout the last 30 years. And so
Absolutely.
it's pretty cool.
Yep.
Well, I think we're done enough. Let's go ahead. Dan's right behind you, so let's keep the show rolling.
Okay. Next part of the banquet tonight will be presenting the Hall of Fame Individual Athlete Awards. To get us started with this is the Hall of Fame member and committee co-chairman, Dan Reed.
Thanks, Mark. Todd, if you'll head on this way. It's my pleasure to share some information on Todd. I know him fairly well. It's been a number of years with him. But I'm going to tell a little story because the story is what's important with Todd. He's most noted, he's a basketball player, but he's most noted for track. He started running track when I was teaching school over at Mayer, and Mayer doesn't even have a track at the time. And he would come out, and we told him his first year that he was eligible to run age group track, that he'd run in one then. And so I put him in the 400. And the goal was for him to finish the race. And he did, but he didn't make the finals. So his second year, our goal was to make the finals. So he did, and finished last in the finals. So our third year in the same age group, we put him in the 400, and he won the race. And we thought, well, that was not expected. And so anyway, that started him off. When we got here, he was still running age group track. And he came to me one day and he said, Dad, is it all right if I ask some of my friends to come out and run with us and we'll start a club? I said, sure. So Brody Scott and Chris Petty, and we had a group of kids. We ran a relay team and some individual things. Long story short, in about 4 or 5 years, the Payson Pacers, which was known as then, became the largest track club in the state of Arizona. We had 110 kids, and but it was because Todd wanted friends to run with him. He enjoyed running track. He understood how much fun track was, and he just grew the program. Now, we'll fast forward. When we won the state championship in 1987, out of that state championship group, almost every one of those kids that helped win that state championship were kids that came out of the club program. So it made a big difference. So let me give you some of Todd's accomplishments. He was a 100-meter hurdler. He was a state champion. He was a two-time state champion. 300-meter hurdles, he was a state champion his senior year, finished second his junior year. 4x4 relay team, state champions for 2 years. Their senior year, they set a state record. He was high jump, 4th place at state. But at the time of graduation, he was a state record holder, the school record holder in the high jump. Like I say, state record in the 4x4. He was a member of the state champion team in 87 and 88. And we knew that he was on his way at the time. Right now, Chandler Invitational is probably the biggest track meet in the state of Arizona. But at the time, the Glendale Invitational rivaled it. In fact, it was probably much larger. It was the top athletes, regardless of class, would compete. And we really didn't know where he was because we run on a dirt track, and it was really his first time to run in an all-weather track. And he ended up winning it handily, so we knew we were well on his way. He won the Glendale Invitational. He won, after graduation, he won the Luke Greenway Meet of Champions. He won the Great Southwest Meet. That was Texas and New Mexico state champions, and Utah and Nevada state champions in Southern California. Then we did summer track and field. He went to the U.S. age group championships and was a national champion in the 400-meter hurdles. He set 3 state records in 3 different events. In fact, his 300-meter hurdles is still Division III record. And every year we say, well, somebody's going to break it this year, but no one has been able to do it. After he left Payson High School. He went on to Azusa Pacific University, and he was the training partner with Innocent and Bodeki, which you have no idea who that is, but it's a Nigerian sprinter that ran 400 in the Olympics, and he was the third man to ever break 44 seconds in a 400 open 400. And Todd had the pleasure of being his training partner, which meant that Innocent used him to beat him up all the time. And, but Todd was coming off of a summer where he was training all summer long. Then he moved on to Oklahoma Baptist University, when he was a five-time All-American in the hurdles and relays. And so anyway, he's had a storied career in hurdles. But he also, when he lived in Telluride, Colorado, he ended up coaching track there. Telluride, you know, they're running in snow in May, and they have no track, and so they would go away to track meets to find some place that actually was dry. And his track team finished second in the state in Colorado. So he had a storied career. So it's my pleasure to induct Todd Reed into the 2021 Payson High School Athletics Hall of Fame.
What's going on, Payson, Arizona? I heard through the grapevine that there are a few Longhorn fans in the house tonight. Wasn't that fun last night? Seeing our team whoop up on those mountain sissies up in Blue Ridge. Can't stand those guys. Well, thank you for letting me share. It's dangerous to hand two Reeds the mic on the same evening, because if you know us, we are storytellers, right? It's the way we roll. If we were on our way out and someone walked up to my dad and said, "Hey, how do I get to Del Taco?" he would go, "Yeah, sure, let me tell you a story." How you get there. But this is an honor, and as I consider the people that have been inducted before me and the people that will be inducted after tonight, it's a real honor and it's humbling. And so, you know, thank you so much for letting me be a part of this. You know, when I was 9 and 10 years old, right around that age, that's when the teams we are honoring, that's when they were doing their thing. I was one of those kids that would wander from JRE, you know, up over the hill towards the high school campus. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And I would hear this low, rumbling, echoing sound of Coach Terry Nodlinski's voice. And if you were there during that time, you know exactly what I'm talking about, where it would just all throughout town, I could hear it. And as a kid, and most kids, we didn't know exactly what was going on, but we knew something was going on there, right? And then I would wander through the campus and I'd wander past the wrestling room, and I was not a wrestler. And there was a lot of commotion going on in there. A lot of yelling and noise, and it was usually accompanied by a soundtrack like Vision Quest or something like that. I think that was the mid-'80s though, right? So I was after you guys. I was like, yeah, right? So, you know, I didn't know exactly what was going on, but I knew something was happening. And it wasn't until, you know, Friday nights where I'd go to a football game, or when I would go to a wrestling match. And that's where I saw it as a kid. I saw that the coaches and the athletes were preparing these huge, big old cans of whoop ass that they were going to be pouring on some unfortunate team's head that week. And if you don't think that makes an impression on a kid, I don't think you really understand what motivates kids. And I think that's why nights like tonight are really, really important, because it gives us a chance not only to, you know, celebrate the accomplishments of student athletes and coaches and the supporters, but it gives us a chance just to remind ourselves who we are. And there have been times where, you know, because I live in the Austin, Texas area, but I'm always paying attention to what's going on here.
And this may rub people the wrong way, but I'm flying out of here tomorrow, and I got the mic, so here we go. But there have been times where there's been some messaging like, yeah, we just don't have the athletes like we used to back in the day. Or, you know, things like, things are tougher now than they were back then. And I just want to line people up like Kyle Hilton and Colleen Hale and Bo Altoff and all of the others and just go, hello? I mean, we are a small, isolated town, and not only are we producing some of the best athletes, regardless of classification, in the state of Arizona, but in the country, folks, in the United States. And not only is that something that we should be proud of, but we should be reminding ourselves over and over and just telling the younger generations, this is who we are. And sometimes I feel like here, we're like the movie Hook. Have you guys seen that with Robin Williams? And he's Peter Pan, and he's forgotten who he is. And this great scene where this African-American boy comes up to him and starts poking on his cheeks and his face. And he's like, there you are, Peter, there you are. I think nights like tonight, we do this every year. We come together and just remind ourselves who we are. And this is going to sound hokey. You know, you may think this sounds cheesy, but I really believe with everything I am that Payson, Arizona is a Hall of Fame town. I believe that Payson is made up of a collection of the best families in America, you know? And I could sit down with you all weekend and just go family after family after family after family and tell you, this is why there's no other place in America to live. This place is amazing. And a family that's at the top of my list is the Hale family. And just having the chance to grow up with them was special for me. When I first saw Colleen Hale play hoops, 3 words, what the hell? Like, I'd never seen anything like that before, right? Like, I was like, she's better than my brother. But it made sense to me because of her family and how she was raised. I really looked up to Jude. He was a guy that was just full throttle. He was a guy that was work ethic and grit and high integrity. And his sister, Nikki, was the same, and she graduated with me. And so when I imagine what it was like to grow up in such a competitive family, it's either sink or swim. And Colleen, you know, she not only decided to swim, but she decided to fly. She's the best high school female basketball player I've ever seen. And I've lived in 5 states, you know, and I've been to a lot of girls' basketball games. These are the kind of athletes that we produce in this small, isolated, remote town, and we should be proud of that. And that messaging should be spread out to our kids. Another thing that's special about Payson to me is it gives kids the opportunity to fall in love with something and go on a journey of reaching their potential. Kyle Hilton is one of those folks for me. I live in big school Texas where huge programs and everything is supported with a ton of resources, and I know it's tough in Payson to sometimes go, we don't have any of that stuff. But if I were to take a time machine and go back to when Kyle was 13 years old and bring him to where I live today, you know what they would say? They would say, Kyle, you're going to be a football player, and you're going to be a football player, and you're going to be a football player, right? We would have missed out on who Kyle became as an athlete in football and baseball and wrestling. I call Kyle my thank you Jesus athlete. When you would watch him hit somebody, or when you would watch him to sound off of the bat, or when he bends somebody in a pretzel on the wrestling match. I mean, we were all standing there going, oh, thank you Jesus, he's on our team. Thank you, right? That doesn't happen in other locations because guys like him are scooped up and they're putting these big athletic machines to feed into that machine, right? So I'm thankful that he had the opportunity to become who he really became and go on that journey of reaching his potential. Now, whenever I hear that we don't have the athletes like we used to be, if you're like me and you ran track and you go into a gym, what do? You sit down and your eyes scan the walls. Because you're looking for what? You're looking for the record board, right? How do we measure up? How does Payson High School measure up? And I've been in huge, huge high schools with amazing athletes, all sizes of schools. And there may be a school that may have 1 or 2 or 3 athletes that have a record better than ours. But collectively, I've never encountered a record board like Payson High School. Here, small town in the middle of nowhere. It's a special place, and we need to be spreading that message to our kids, to our families that are new coming up, right? Because this is our legacy. And when I saw what these guys were doing back here, these teams, it really created a momentum that we saw years later with some really good teams and really good athletes. So on behalf of those kids, I just want to say thank you to the state championship teams tonight. Thank you on behalf of all of them because you made an impact in us. So let's give them a hand. I know I'm talking a lot, I apologize, but let me just share a couple of things about my journey with my dad and then I'll get out of here. But there were just some defining moments. When I was in middle school playing basketball, I sat on the end of the bench with a friend of mine. His name was Willem Wong. Remember the Wong family? And we would sit on the end of the bench and just hope that we could get in the game. And with about 20 seconds left, we would look down the bench at the coach and we'd like, oh man, are we gonna be able to get in? And sometimes we did. But our whole goal was just to get out there and maybe just touch the ball, right? Can we just touch it? And I was really discouraged, and I went up to my dad. I was like, I don't think I can do this. I'm working really hard, I'm hustling, and I'm not getting any playing time. And I think every kid, when they have that kind of a conversation with a parent, they're hoping, right? I was hoping that maybe my dad would go, hey, coach, why don't you put my son in a couple minutes, right? But this is what he said to me. He said, Todd, maybe you need to work harder. He said, maybe your role with the team is you hustle more than anyone else, and that's what makes the team better. You play defense harder than anyone on those starters, and that's what makes your team better. He said, you need to leave no doubt in that coach's mind that you belong on the court. And it was in that moment that I realized that I control my own destiny, that I can't blame anyone, I can't blame the coach, I can't blame other players, that it's my choice to excel or not. And that made a huge, dramatic impact on my athletic journey from then on. And something I really appreciate too is that my dad pushed us out of that small pond mentality. Just because we live in Payson doesn't mean we can't compete with everybody. Do you believe that? I mean, Payson does not back down from a fight. And I learned that from watching these guys growing up. And so he would take us to these meets, and you know what? Oftentimes we would get our doors blown off, but then we would come back. And when we would run against Safford and Blue Ridge and Snowflake and Holbrook and Buckeye, we were like, yeah, this is nothing, right? We had already begun to dream about bigger things. And when I think about Bo Althoff, I think he was one of those guys. Imagine Bo Althoff without someone going, dream bigger, Bo. I think I have some credibility when I say this because, I mean, I've been around track a lot. My brother won 9 state championships, right? I had roommates in college who were Olympians. Bo Althoff's pole vault record to me, in my opinion, is the most impressive athletic achievement in our school's history. He is one of the best pole vaulters in the country. And I know sometimes living here and we go back and forth at the Valley, we really don't, that doesn't hit us. But I've been around. I've never been to a school where they had a record that was better than Bo's, right? It was awesome, And if you take a baby shark and you put them in a small aquarium, they grow to be about 8 inches. If you put them in the ocean, they can grow to be about 8 feet long. And I think that's what my dad did in our lives when he said, dream bigger. Just because we're from Payson doesn't mean we can't compete with everybody. And sometimes we lose that, and sometimes I think we get discouraged because we don't have the resources, or we We don't have kids that just transfer into our school, right? So last story. It was my last race of my career. It's up in Canada. And I was out of shape. I wasn't doing well. And it was a horrible race. And I remember I finished and I walked across, I was done walking, just cooling down, and I looked up. And my dad had flown out to Canada. He surprised me. He likes to do things like that. He was leaning up against a tree with his Dan Reed grin. And you would think, right, that most athletes, most kids would be super excited, right? And I was angry. I was angry at my dad because he didn't tell me he was there. And there was something about when my dad was present that my brother and I would just compete out of our minds. And it wasn't because we were afraid we weren't going to please him or we weren't going to perform up to his expectations. It was because my dad had this belief in us, and it was like, it just empowered us. And I really felt like if I had known he was there, I would have run better. And I think that says everything about the way my dad coached me and the way my dad coached all of his athletes, is that we drew off of this belief that he had in us, that he could see what we could become. I was this kid that would come in last in races. And I'm not sure why my parents didn't go, hey, you want to try the clarinet or, chess, something like that. But he believed in me, and I'm incredibly thankful for that. Payson, you're a Hall of Fame town, and it's been a privilege to grow up here and to be developed as a student athlete here. I can't thank you enough for this honor. Thanks for letting me talk so much, but I love you all, and thanks again.
Wow, I'm not sure where I am now. Thank you, Todd, for all that. Thank you, Dan. Our next presenter is a Hall of Famer, heck of a coach, Dennis Birch.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you. Todd, thank you so much. I can't say just what you said just was went to my heart, and I just appreciate the words and the passion that you shared with the crowd. Hey, I get the opportunity to introduce a gentleman who was mentioned by Todd a couple of times, and his name is Kyle Hilton. And Kyle Hilton started at Payson High School in 1989, and for the next 4 years, he was a three-sport athlete, a varsity athlete in football, in wrestling, and baseball. I might add that we had lots of fond memories, and he was an integral part of some outstanding athletic programs. He was all-state in baseball. He was all-state in football, and he was twice state champion in wrestling. That says quite a bit about his athletic prowess. He was all-region in baseball. He was, he was picked for 3 different all-star teams. He was obviously a batting champion at Payson High School, and in his all-star meet, when in wrestling, you compete against all divisions, all sizes, and of course he was a 3A state champ, and he had the opportunity to defeat a 5A state champion. And again, I want to go back to what Todd said. It doesn't make any difference on the size of the school. It's the size of the heart of the young man who's participating. And that's just really who Kyle was at that time. And I do want to share one time. I think I've coached wrestling for a long time, and I've been blessed enough that I could participate in it for a while. But I'm thinking of the top five high school collegiate wrestling matches that I've ever seen. that I've ever seen. And Kyle Hilton and a gentleman named Aaron Simpson is one of those matches of the classic mano-a-mano, just outstanding athletes competing. And Kyle and I visited that, and I might add that the gentleman that he wrestled that day is Aaron Simpson, who later was a 3-time All-American at ASU. And they went toe-to-toe for 6 minutes, and then in overtime, it was a takedown at the buzzer, and Kyle came up 1 point short. But all I can remember is he was a victor in my heart, and what he did that night in our own Longhorn gym was just one of the most phenomenal feats of wrestling that I've ever seen. So at this time, I'd like to bring Kyle Hilton up and just say again, thank you for carrying on with that tradition. Congratulations, Kyle, and at this time we would like to present you with an introduction and of course your plaque as a member of the Payson High School Longhorn Hall of Fame. Congratulations.
Thanks, Coach Perch. Perch was an amazing man in my life, by the way. We screwed up tonight because Todd should not have went first, because there ain't no friggin' way I'm following that deal. Alright? You should have went last, Todd. That was amazing, everything you said, and I appreciate it. It's been an honor. I've been gone for 20 years, and my wife brought me here. They snuck this around me with Darren and my wife. So we've been here since Wednesday, and we've been gone 20 years. And one of the beautiful things about this community is it's been an amazing 4 or 5 days, or 3 days. Just reminiscing. I spent time with all the Klaus, of course, which we've all been real close growing up and ridings, and it's just been amazing. And so the irony, and I don't know how athletics is going around here. I keep up, but I don't know any of the coaches, and I'm sure there's some amazing athletes here. But the one thing that I do know is that everybody that's going to the Hall of Fame, and I look back there on the list of the previous, and the irony is that we're standing around all these guys that have created this Hall of Fame, like Heiser and Dan Reed and Coach Perch and Chuck Hart and everybody, and I mean, all these guys coached us, right? So we had a bit of athletic ability, all of us, but truth is we had amazing coaches, and so I've got tons of children, and the importance of coaching through all of it is way underestimated, right? I've seen lots of good athletes in different communities and different programs, and it's nothing like it was here in Payson. I mean, we were so blessed to have all of them. The list goes on, right? Foster, all the way from the beginning. I remember every one of my coaches. In fact, it's funny, my T-ball coaches are in the house tonight. Yes. Gibby and Troy Goodman, man. These guys coached me in frickin' T-ball. Every one of them, I swear to God. So, it's just amazing, and this community is amazing. We've worked really hard with our kids. We found a home in Albia about 7 years ago. That has a really cool community. Things are going good there, and I did not coach. I thought I would coach, and I'll be honest, I've been moved around a bit. We've been in Iowa 20 years, and I remember talking to Coach Perch here a while back, and he said, you know, you probably be a great coach, but the bottom line is it's the community that you coach in has a major role in how successful your program is going to be. So I did not choose to go into coaching, but I thought about it for a long time, but Perch hit the nail on the head. We were lucky enough to grow up in this community, and you guys all supported all of us come in here, and I know so many people in here, and everybody treated us like gold. It had nothing to do with sports. You guys just all treated us. We were all friends and family. So, like I said, Todd should have went last. But that's it. Thank you. Thanks to all the coaches. You guys are awesome. You meant a lot to me.
Congratulations, Kyle. Okay, we're going to ask Dan Reed back to the podium.
All right, it's my pleasure. I'm going to ask him to come up so you guys can watch him sweat. That's kind of important in this deal. Bo, all talk, come on up. Bo was one of those pacer kids. Came up, was a high jumper, a shot putter, and ran the sprint relay when he was a kid, and then he fell in love with football. And so I need to point somebody out as Greg. Will you stand real quick? Is he still there? Greg, stand up. Greg Hall. Are you look right there? Greg Hall is the director of Kiss the Sky pole vault camp, and right now is are you the head coach? Oh man, I'm sorry. Head coach of Phoenix Day School down in Phoenix. We see him at track meets every once in a while. He's coached several Olympians, and you know, we as coaches we sometimes get a little full of ourselves, and people used to look at me and say, man, you must be really a good vault coach. And I have to tell you, Greg is a good vault coach. And so Bo started going to this camp many years ago when he was younger, and Greg gave me this athlete that he had coached, and my job was to keep him healthy. And so I do appreciate, Greg, everything you did for Bo and other vaulting athletes over the years. It's been fantastic to watch you you work with your kids. All right, Bo. All-Region Football, 1990, 91, All-State in 1991 in football. He was Arizona Coach Association All-Star selection. Basketball member of the 1991 3A West Regional Champion. But track is what he's known for. There's sometimes when you don't wish for injuries, but injuries happen to athletes. And so Bo got a little dinged up his senior year and was not able to play basketball. So that meant he could run track. So we trained him in the off season, and so he came in and started vaulting. He vaulted 12 feet as a freshman. And I have to tell you a little caveat here. When I coached Bo, it was just me. We didn't have assistant coaches. Just me and Bo and the other kids that we had. So I was the pole vault coach, high jump coach, the long jump coach, the sprint coach, the distance coach, the throwers coach. And so I would set them out around the track doing whatever activities they had, and I just walk around. And it was the job of the older athletes to train the younger athletes how to do whatever they were doing. And my rule was, for vaulters, that I would not coach a vaulter until they could at least clear 12 feet. That was the job of the other kids on the team. Bo cleared it as a freshman, so I was stuck with him for the next 4 years. So anyway, I really want to talk about his senior year. So we took him up to the Simplot Games up in Pocatello, Idaho. And he finished fourth, went 14-6. That was the first time that we knew that he had gone to a new plateau. Long story short, his senior year, he never lost a pole vault competition during the school year, and he competed against the best vaulters in the state of Arizona. And the highlight of that was at the Great Southwest track and field meet at ASU. He went 16.5 3/4 in the pole vault, and at the time That was the 5th best pole vault in the nation. So you think about, Todd was mentioning a little small town Payson, and he was the 5th best vaulter in the whole United States of all the vaulters that were around. Amazing. Took him to Golden West, which was the top 8 vaulters in the nation, met at Golden West. Sacramento, California. We're warming up on Friday, and Bo's practicing. He goes up and his pole breaks. That was the first pole he had broken ever. And anybody that's, where's Sean at? Sean Hart knows about breaking poles. But it's a little scary. But usually nothing bad happens. You end up in the pit. Well, for Bo's case, his elbow landed on the part that was broken off, and he ruptured his bursa sac in his elbow. And within about 10 minutes, his elbow was the size of a basketball. And so he couldn't vault at that meet the next day. So that's not a good thing. So the next week, he's got the Keepler International track meet in Chicago. Called Greg, hey, we need a pole. And he was shipping poles to us like every other week, because Bo kept getting better and better and better. And so he had a pole, and I didn't think he'd be able to vault. But he vaulted, finished 6th at the Keebler International Invitational. And what was significant about it was Lawrence Taylor Johnson. Greg, help me out. Lawrence Johnson, who was a 17 feet vaulter out of someplace down south. Virginia. See, that's why you're here. Anyway, going head to head, Bo beat him. And he ended up in the 2000 Olympics being the silver medalist in Sydney. So Bo beat the silver medalist in the 2000 Olympics. Now, there is the rest of the story. He didn't make opening height. Because if you know anything about Chicago, it's called Windy City for a reason. The wind was a crosswind blowing like crazy, and Lawrence waited till his usual time coming in and then made his opening height. So there's advantages of vaulting and pacing where the wind blows and not afraid of it. Now I'll just mention one other thing real quick about Bo. Like I say, fantastic vaulter. So he left and did other things, right? Had a scholarship to ASU, vaulted at ASU for a while. They quit vaulting at ASU, and long story short, came back and worked for APS here at Payson. Actually started vaulting again. He was a little heavier than he was when he was in high school, and I didn't have a pole for him. And my comment was, Bo, you gotta lose some weight so I can get you on a pole. So he lost weight. And how high did you end up going? 5 meters. Tell them what, they don't know what meters is. 16.3. And I'd ask him, I said, well, what's your goal here? Didn't you put a pole vault pit in the backyard? Yeah, it's a vaulter for you. Vaulters do crazy stuff like that. And he said, well, I want to make the B qualifying for Olympic trials. Well, he didn't make it, but that's okay. He became a coach, a volunteer coach here at Payson. And you need to know that the vaulters, he is a much better vaulting coach than I was. Remember, I said I don't even coach until they get to 12 feet. It's patient. I'm out there helping, right? Not vault, other things. And he's patient. He's working with those kids that can't vault 6 feet. He's just working with them, basics all the time. And I thought, how did he learn all those patience? I would never do that. And he ended up, how many state champions did he coach? You know? 4 state champion guys, 2 girls, state champions, all because he came back and decided to help. So it's my pleasure to welcome Bo Althoff to the Hall of Fame.
Thank you to Coach Bo and Coach Reed. It's an honor to be in the Hall of Fame. I really appreciate it, and I would agree with Kyle. It's very difficult to follow Todd. Thank you. This is a huge honor. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Too many guys up here, they got my notes everywhere. That might help. Okay, everybody. So we've had Todd, Kyle, and Bo. Our next presenter is going to be Chuck Hart, Hall of Famer. Where is Chuck?
Thank you. Colleen Hale, one of the newest members of our Hall of Fame team here. I'll try to be. I was coaching at the high school when she was in elementary, and there were rumors. And I coached basketball, coached track. And in fact, Dan, I think it was a conspiracy, I'll be real quick. The reason I got the head job, he wanted me and Pete Beard to come in and help him, which we did. And then a year or two later, he quits. He walks away. And that was his plan, I think. He just needed to get out. He just wanted somebody new to take it over. But, everything he said about these athletes is absolutely true. It was pretty awesome being around there at that time. What a tradition. And if you don't know about the tradition of Payson High School and the athletes and the teams that they've turned out, dig a little deeper. It might help restore things around here. It surely might. Colleen Hale, like I said, I heard some rumors. And when I found out that what grade were you in when you went to Cleveland, Ohio? 12 years old. Right? Okay, she comes back from Cleveland, Ohio, finished third in the nation in, they call it the Pepsi Hot Shot game. So I thought, man, maybe instead of coaching the men, maybe I should wait for her to come through. So I knew right away that we had a good one coming up. I got to put my glasses on here so I can see some of this. I can't remember all this. How old were you? I'm sorry, this isn't a 20-question thing, but how old were you when you were the Army National Scholar Athlete? Senior year. Okay, that's a big deal. There's lots of applicants for that thing. Tons, hundreds, thousands. She's been elected to she was elected to the All-Star teams in Arizona, not only in basketball, but softball also. So she was an all-around athlete, obviously. She holds 5 basketball school records still, and she graduated in '95. 7 others, she had 7 others at the time, but they've been something close to 7. They've been surpassed now. She held the state basketball records in steals a game with 16, and 3-point shots made in a career for the state of Arizona at 119. She was, after her senior season, she was selected to the Honorable Mention All-America team in 1995. Track and field, we got lucky. I was coaching track and field. She was a softball player freshman, sophomore year. She deemed herself up a little bit, I think, and I don't know if we had the conversation, I don't remember, but I said, generally you don't have to really run left turns all the time in track. You can do gradual left turns, right? And so she decided her junior year to come out for track, and she ended up being on a state record 4x8 relay team, along with Jenny and Jenny Garrett, Emmy Gibson, and Jessica Meske, yeah. They also, same team, came back the following year and broke their own state record. They were pretty consistent, actually. And now she's currently 3rd all-time on the list at Payson High School in the 400 meters. So she was quick and strong and gritty, more than gritty, but yeah. Yeah, and really, it's hard to believe, but we had some throwers on our team when she was doing her running. She disappointed a few of them because towards the end of her senior year, she decided to throw the shot put. She finished 2nd in the state in the shot put. Yeah, and I don't want to mention the girls' names that she disappointed, but they were, because that's what they did. They threw every practice, and then she started practicing and ended up not only qualifying, but running up the state. That's kind of a big deal. I can remember her 4x8 record her senior year. I was at the finish line, and I blame it on me. Because when you're running 800, she's the anchor, going down the backside. She's running in front of the best 800-meter runner in the state in 3A at the time. We're at Chandler High School, and for some reason, going into the last turn, she let this girl pass her. I didn't understand what was going on. Comes off the turn, she's not passing that girl, not passing, but she's digging deep, and last step, there was a photo finish, they had to look at the photo, but they went ahead and gave the gold medal to her. The Pima College coach is there. I didn't know he was the coach. He waits for the judges, the finish judges, to walk off. He walks right down the track and said, I'm going to offer you a track scholarship right now. Doesn't know, he just saw her the last 100 meters, what she did to run down that young lady from Fountain Hills. And she says, no, I want to play basketball too. He goes, I'll talk to the coach. You can play basketball too. True story. And she really disappointed him because she had to tell him that she'd already committed to Yavapai. So she went to Yavapai College. Her sophomore year, she shot 42% from the three-point line, and any basketball player would take that in a heartbeat. Her team was Arizona D1 Junior College champions that year, and they qualified for the national tournament in Provo, Utah. She was an all-region all-star. This thing just keeps going. After graduation, Colleen accepted a basketball scholarship to attend Western New Mexico University, where she finished her athletic career there. She also assisted while she was there, and we talked a lot about community. She did a lot of civic stuff while she was in college, those 4 years. I don't know how she found time to do it. And I want to give you a little bit of bio on her background now and what's going on. Is that okay? Yeah, okay. She moved to Oregon in the late 90s and finished her degree. I've asked her 15 times what her degree was because I couldn't remember. But finished her degree in Bachelor of Sciences in Social Services. Yes? Got it. And she minored in accounting at Portland State University. Now she lives with her husband Michael of 19 years and her 15-year-old twin girls, Logan and Haley. They're all here. And they live in Bend, Oregon. And Michael and Colleen are business owners of a recreational rental company, and Colleen owns her own bookkeeping company. They've lived in Bend for 15 years and enjoy many outdoor activities with friends and family. Some of her civic stuff, and I just think this is important, that they stay involved. Colleen now volunteers in many capacities. And this is what she wanted me to say, including coaching the youth around in the community of Bend. She also offers her services as a volunteer at Mountain View High School in Bend, and somehow finds time to support a few charities around town also. What I remember about Colleen, I've already said this, and that's what the Pima coach saw. He'd never seen her before. All he saw was her last leg of the 4x800. That's all he saw. And because of her want to, from the top of that last turn to the finish line, just those 100 meters, he offered her a lot of money to go to school, and it broke his heart because he turned him down and needed it. But we need more Colleens. And the boys basketball team at the time said, "Can't she play? Seriously, can't girl play with the guys? Can't they?" She was that good. She really was. Colleen, I know there's a lot more information I could share, but I'm not going to do that. I want to say thank you for all you've done. Thank you for all you continue to do. And what a pleasure it was watching you grow up and perform, and welcome to the Hall of Fame class of 2021. Comment, please. First comment.
So I'm the only girl inducted tonight, and I think it'd be a missed opportunity if I didn't have something to say. So my twin 15-year-old daughters are here, and I just want to take the opportunity of you know, everyone's talking about women equality and women empowerment, and as much as I stand for all of that, I just want to send a message of what I feel is truly important. When I was in middle school and elementary, I would get sent to the principal's office probably once a month because we would get caught playing tackle football. And the principal, Mr. Hutchin, he would come out and play with us just to make sure we were playing fair. And then he watched me play and he thought I was going to get hurt. And then he's like, oh, you're doing fine. But we can't choose our family. We are born into whatever cards we are dealt. I was super fortunate to have a brother, a sister, such a supportive family. And what we really need is more girl dads. And what we really need are more just girl supporters. We have our female role models, but I want to give a shout out to the men that are also part of my life and make me who I am. So girls, it's not about necessarily who you're born with, but what you do with that. And what you can choose are your friends, and to go play with the boys, and choose the people that you just want to be a part of and make you stronger. And I'll give you one story, and it really kind of makes up who I am. So when I met my husband, after you mentioned, we've been married for 19 years. And when we were dating, he took me to this billiards pool hall. And so we would play, and the first game he beat me quite convincingly, to the point where I may have not handled it very well. And so the next time, I won. Like, yes, and I didn't handle that very well either. And so the next time, I won again. And then I won a third time. And I looked at him and I said, are you letting me win? And he couldn't say anything. I put my stick down, I put my drink down, and I said, if you ever let me win again, this relationship is over. And I can count on one hand how many times I think I beat him since. But my point is, I remember all 5 times. And those wins, depending on who you choose that are around you, those wins mean more to me than anything else because I worked for it. So choose the boys who make you stronger. Choose your spouse to the one that's going to make you better. So that's my message to all the women out there, and to shout out to all the male influences in our lives. All the wonderful coaches I've had are men, and they just make us stronger. So we stand together and we build each other up. And that's my message. Thank you so very much.
Tom Mack, he's been around Payson for a while, coaching and teaching and principling and whatever. You live in Buckeye right now, don't you? I do. Yeah. How's Betty doing? I know that. I thought you were lying to me. There you go.
We have a special award. When I was sometimes laughingly referred to as the principal, gentleman came into my office one day and said, we need a new baseball field. Now, I was a baseball coach, and I totally agreed we needed a new baseball field. You're probably not familiar with what we had in 1967 when I came. It was just a big dirt field, dirt and decomposed granite. That was it, with a 3-foot fence out there somewhere. I wore out 2 trucks dragging it to start at the mound and go all the way to center field. And that was the field when I came. And I coached on that field for 15 years almost. Well, Mr. Hale came in one day, said, we need a new baseball field. And I said, well, I'll agree with that, but you got any idea what it costs to put in a baseball field? He says, I do, and I'm gonna make arrangements to do it. And I said, well, how are you gonna do that? And he said, I'll take care of it, don't worry about it. All I need is a contract with the district. And I said to myself, okay, self, here it comes. What he wanted was $1. And we gave him a contract for $1. And he started on that field, and as a contractor, he knew every contractor around. You could look out there any day and there'd be a blade, there'd be trucks bringing in dirt, there'd be a loader, there'd be everything you could imagine to put together a baseball field and a softball field. And what you have out there now was all because of him. For $1, he did it, and so we have a special award for him tonight.
It's going to be tough, but I'm going to get through this. Give me 30 seconds. In memory of your dad, we got together and thought it was appropriate that he also follow you into the Hall of Fame this year. He's the newest member of the Hall of Fame 2021. Congratulations.
Jake, should we do the drawings?
I'm drawing the buckets if you want. We can do it, or we can do it after this next one.
Don, do you want me to do these 2 awards first, then do the drawings? Okay, that's what we're gonna do. Our next category is Hall of Fame Coach and Sports Supporters. And the presenters for the first individual is Tom, as well as Ted Pettit. Where's Ted Pettit? Come on up, Ted.
I'll wait for Ted. Ted's older than I am, so he'll take him a little longer than it took me. Can I do something here? Can I just, for 1 second? I figured it out, Ted. You and I have been married to these ladies for a total of 119 years. On behalf of Ted and myself, I'd like to acknowledge Betty and Lillian. All right. But,
It seems like only yesterday.
yeah. It takes a special kind of wife to be a coach's wife. Ted and I are going to present for entry into the Hall of Fame one of our co-workers, Bill Lawson. Sometimes affectionately known as Mr. Mr. Bill. Remember Mr. Bill? The guy was about this color, you know, was a string man. So anyway, Bill came to Payson in 1968. Now I know that exactly because I was here. I came in '67, and the superintendent the year before left halfway through the semester, and a new superintendent was hired. The football coach quit. The baseball coach quit. Ted was the track coach. So the gentleman they hired as a temporary superintendent, and then became the superintendent, but to finish out the year, hired me, a football coach named Bill Moss, and the basketball coach stayed for one more year. Now, football coach had an assistant, that was me. The basketball coach had a JV coach, that was me. I was the baseball coach, and Ted was the track coach. That was the whole staff. That was the whole staff in 1967. 1968, we got Bill Lawson. What a godsend. I became football coach. Bill became my assistant. Bill became the JV coach for basketball, and Ted's assistant. So he started his career coaching 3 sports, teaching 3 classes of junior high science, and 2 classes of high school science. We had 150 students in school. That was if everybody came. Everybody showed up one day, we had 150. So we were at a little bit of a disadvantage as far as staff. Now I'm going to tell you what Bill did. Now this is just athletics. How many years were you with the district? Yeah, till you retired. 39 years with the district. Came to us from Gila Bend, and we won't hold that against him. Bill was the head track coach for 5 years. He was a junior varsity coach in football for 4 years. He was a junior varsity coach in basketball for 7 years. He was a basketball official scorer for 5 years. He was the football statistician for everybody, me included, and everybody that came along. Terry Nadlinsky, he kept stats for Terry for 18 years. And the official scorer for the Payson High School Track Invitational for all the years that it was held. So that's what Bill meant to us as far as the coaching staff at Payson High School.
Yeah, Bill is one of these guys that just about take on any job that you need, and we really appreciate him. He's been a lifetime friend, not just a friend for a season or two. And I want to say that I'm kind of feeling old when I see Bill here. When I first started coaching, Bill played on the Gila Bend JV team when I was coaching. So I've known Bill for quite some time, but you look around the room here and I see friends for life. Bill and Eileen are friends for life. Tommy and Betty, friends for life. I look at the other coaches and the people here, and it's really something when you develop friends for life. So when Tommy was talking about, when I came to Payson, the biggest thing when I would go out of town on games, people would ask, where in the devil is Payson, Arizona? They never heard of Payson. In 1958, when I came here, the pavement, they had a ribbon cutting in July 1958 and cut the ribbon because they had a paved road all the way to Phoenix. And that was really something. It was dirt road, gravel road to Flagstaff, gravel road to Sholo. And so I've been so very fortunate, Lily and I have been so fortunate to be able to raise our family here in Payson. We've been here 63 years. So Bill, it's really an honor. You and Eileen, she probably deserves it more than you, but
That was my line.
oh, that was your line, I'm sorry. Anyway, our new coach into the Hall of Fame, Bill Lawson.
Okay. One of the things that Ted left out, and that is, as a coach, whether it be JV or at the track for 5 years, I was known when we went to the awards banquets for being somewhat long-winded. And I deserve that. Tonight will not be that way because as honored as I am, and I really truly am, so honored to be inducted tonight as a member of this outstanding group of individuals and teams. It has been my pleasure to be even a little small part of, in helping in any small way that I possibly could. Eileen and I have been here for 53 years, and it was, Ted mentioned it already, I first came to Payson as a freshman in high school playing on the Gila Bend Gila Monster team. I was lucky enough to play baseball that year, and the only reason as a freshman that I got to play is because we had 5 seniors get kicked off for drinking, and so if they needed anybody they could. Seriously though, I enjoyed it. Came up here and played against Ted. I don't remember the score. I just remember took forever to get here. That was the spring of 1958. And traveling from Gila Bend to Payson, traveled on more than a few dirt roads to get here. 10 years later, I walk in for my first job teaching science here in Payson. There sits the head teacher of the junior high at that time, Ted Bennett, who was coached against me. I played against 10 years before. So yes, the roots go deep, and the friendships are solid, and hopefully always will be. And quite honestly, you don't do anything for 53 years without the support of the most important person in my life, Eileen. Coaches' wives had to put up with a lot, and I have to tell you that I didn't work alone the 31 years I was taking football stats, because I would have to tell you probably over 99% of the time, Eileen was right there with me, not necessarily taking the stats, but in that car as we drove to each of those away games. And then sometimes she did have to help take stats with me, because I would maybe miss a play. The bottom line, it's been a real pleasure and a real honor to work with these outstanding coaches and to be with and around all of the terrific athletes that we have now, because I watched that game last night. We have some athletes. and all the athletes that are being honored. And certainly, we know that there will be more deserving members to come into this Hall of Fame. So thanks to all of you for all of your support throughout the years. It has been my pleasure, regardless of what position I held in the district, to be a part of the athletic programs here in Payson. So thank you.
Our next presenter is we're going to call Dennis Birch back to the podium, and he's going to do the next presentation.
Don't go too far away. Don't go too far away, Mr. Mack. Hey, my pleasure to introduce and talk about a longtime friend and a longtime coach at Payson High School, Don Heiser. Don, tonight's going to be inducted into the Payson High School Athletic Hall of Fame. About 34 years ago, Don came to Payson. He came to Payson as an ISS supervisor. That means you take care of the kids that are a little bit on the edge, okay? He was the ISS supervisor and a trainer. And it's kind of interesting how he came. He was a successful coach at Pagosa High School in Pagosa, Colorado. And he gave me a call. He said, I've been out of teaching and coaching for a few years. And Don Heiser at that time was kind of, looking for a position. And at this time, he called me and I made a comment to Mr. Mack, wherever Mr. Mack is. All right, and Mr. Mack, the athletic director at the time, I made a comment. I said, hey, there's a guy that can teach and coach, and he'd be really valuable here. And doggone it, Tom Mack, wherever he is, just got on the phone and said immediately, bring the guy down, we'll interview him tomorrow. And so I made the trip. So Don Heiser, would you come on up? As Don's coming up, obviously that was 34 years ago. And since then, it was a good move by Mr. Mack. And it was a quick judgment call, and the guy's on board, and doggone it, he's still working for the school district. It's just, and that's a long time, Don. Thank you. Don was an integral part of the coaching staff during the numerous state championship teams of the 90s, where the success of Payson High School wrestling catapulted into one of the strongest programs in the western United States. He's a detail guy. I'm a broad brush guy. I forget about all those fine points. He doesn't forget anything. He's kind of like, he remembers everything there has to be to make something work well. And so Don operated mostly under the radar, but his tools and his expertise was second to none. Whatever the job that had to be done to make the wrestling program improve, he was all in. That meant bus driver, motel room reservations, meals, fundraising, and he even had some time to practice and to coach for the kids. But he did it all. And being in the counseling center, he also offered us a valuable heads-up tool. And that is when a student athlete maybe missed a class, maybe was struggling in the classroom, I got an immediate heads up. And when I got that heads up, Don, I went to the student, and then we might have one of those parent-teacher-student get-togethers, and the best ones were at the kitchen tables in their home, by the way. when you got to visit, but Don made all that happen. The success of the Payson Wrestling also hinged on bringing the best possible competition right here to the Longhorn gym. Some schools may host one tournament a season. Payson High School expanded the idea to host early season, the Rim Country Duels, to be followed later by the Tim Van Horn Invitational. These became showcase events in Arizona. This is the guy. This is the guy right here that made it happen, made it a showcase event to where schools from throughout the state, all sizes, they wanted to come here. So Payson was on the map thanks to all the other coaches and athletes that were here, but he also brought it to a higher level in regards to the competition we got to face. Don Heiser was the longtime tournament director for both tournaments, and because of that, we had the opportunity for the Longhorn wrestlers to do very well. Not only was he a valuable asset to the school as a counselor, as a teacher, as the ISS supervisor, but he was also valuable to football. He was the assistant in football for 8 years. That was culminated when he had to transfer to the counseling center. I might add, in his later tenure at Payson High School, his organizational skills were again needed to fill an unforeseen problem. We had no AD. If you don't have an AD, you don't have a leader of the athletic department. He took charge and got 2 years and brought the entire athletic program into good working order again after there were some issues. So Don, I want to thank you for that. And it's really important because all the programs benefit from your leadership. As you can see, his detail is a strength and leadership that was so valuable to the entire Payson High School athletic program. At this time, we congratulate you, Don, and we welcome you into the Payson High School Athletic Hall of Fame for 2021. Good job. Good job.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to join this group in Payson. First of all, Bo and Kyle, you guys can relax, that I'm not going to be here very long. They know that usually when I got a chance to be in front of a crowd, I could sometimes overstay my welcome. Okay. As a number of people have mentioned tonight, that the ability to be able to perform the tasks of being a coach doesn't come without the super support of your family. My wife has always been supportive and has been willing to not only tolerate the hours and the schedules and things like this, but oftentimes joined right in the middle when it was time to run a tournament, a hospitality room. They were legendary. That we make contact with people and, do you want to come to our tournament? Who's running your hospitality room this year? Is your wife still going to be bringing in the whatever it is that she was famous for at that point in time, and quite frequently it was above and beyond. My two daughters, they were always there. They were always part of what we were doing, and it was a family activity. Coach Birch, Dennis, he referenced, having a job. I can tell you right now, I've never had a job and gone to work a day in my life. I get to get up and go to school every day. I get to go out and learn new things. Sometimes I learn things that maybe I didn't want to learn, but at the same time, possibly it could be something that could help somebody else along the way. That as we take a look at the people that are in this class and previous induction classes, they have the ability to control the controllables, not get overwhelmed by the uncontrollables. Those two things that everybody always has total control of, their attitude and their effort. And you've heard stories about attitude and effort and the things that they have done. That's something that all of us can take with us day in and day out. We are what we are, and we do what we do because of what we value. Payson values their youth. They are supportive of their youth, and that's what makes Payson Payson. I really appreciate and am honored by being inducted into this Hall of Fame, and hope that I'm able to live up to the standards to maintain. Thank you very much.
Okay, we're going to take a little break from the awards. We're going to go back to Jake. Where's Jake?
I'm back here. I'm ready.
We're going to do the bucket raffles right now. Everybody get your tickets out.
All right, these
And what are we up with first, Jake? What are you going to draw on?
We're going to start, we've drawn everything but the 50-50. 50-50 is at $850 is your take. So, we'll start off with a $100 gift card for Fairways Restaurant. And guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these over here and you can get them right away. Winning ticket is 966204. 966204.
Who's got the winner?
Oh, somebody made a noise.
We have a winner.
Yes. All right, come on over. I'm going to give that to Ashley.
You can collect that at the entry table there.
Our next one is a gift card to the Payson Golf Club.
Payson Golf Club.
You are the winner if you have ticket 966370. 966370. It's taped to the top. Yeah. Somebody made a noise, I'm not sure. All right, Steve, good job, Steve. Right over the table. Next one. This is the big one. This is a guided fishing trip with Dennis Perch. You are going fishing with Coach if you have ticket 966302. 966302.
Who's that lucky winner?
All right.
Do you know how fast his boat goes?
Yeah. I know Christmas is coming, Father, so pass it on down. All right, next one. The Fairways Restaurant. This is dinner for four at the new Payson Golf Club diner there. Okay. It is yours if you have ticket 966265. 966265.
There we go, all right.
All right, come on over. All right, the Toronto Community Concert Association, and this is tickets to that. It is yours if you have ticket 966-319. 966-319.
Check your tickets.
966-319.
Right here.
All right, right here. Congratulations, come on over. Next one, the foursome to Chaparral Pines. Gonna be yours if you have ticket 966-335.
Chaparral Pines Golf. Check the tickets. That one could be yours, Jake.
Oh, you know what? I was smart. I only brought plastic today, so that's saved me. 966-335. I run a democracy back here. If you guys want to redraw, we'll leave it up to Todd Reed. Todd Reed, you think redraw? Todd said yes, I think. We'll call one last time. 966-335. Going once, going twice. You lost.
Let's go with a different number. Chaparral Pines.
966-194. 966-194. Foursome at Chaparral.
There we go. Yay!
All right, Rim. The Rim Golf Club.
This is for the Rim. You guys know if you put in for it, check your ticket.
Is yours if you have 966-341. 966-341. I saw a young man throw his hand up. All right.
Okay.
Awesome.
And I guess, Jake, we're going to wait on the 50-50 till after the team awards.
You want to wait on it?
Well, that's per Don, and he's in the Hall of Fame.
All right. What the Don says, the Don gets, so.
Yeah. Okay, our next group of awards are going to be for Hall of Fame teams. And to be our presenter, it's going to be Tom Meck again. Come on out, Tom.
Hall of Fame dude.
Okay, we'll do football first, but I want to make a few remarks. If I can find them. You know, it ain't easy being champions. You especially know that if you're a coach. In my own personal experience, I can say, as a baseball coach, in 1979, I won my 100th game. That's impressive, I guess. But I had my 100th loss in 1974. Now, you got to start somewhere. And when I came to Payson, there was 150 kids. And we were put in a league, the B Central League. Parker, 450 kids. Wickenburg, 400 kids. Phoenix Christian, 450 kids. And that was the people we had to play. We had 150. We had 35 seniors that year in '68. Graduation that year, 35 seniors. 13 of those 22 boys in that class played football. Our record that year was 7-2-1. 7-2-1. Now, who do you think was one of the victories, and it was a forfeit. Well, you played them last night. Blue Ridge forfeited that year because they didn't have enough players. We barely had enough players. But Blue Ridge was new in Class B, and so when I say it ain't easy to be champions, you've got to start somewhere. And those kids in those years started it for you guys, for you athletes that are here tonight. In my own situation, we started Little League. Dan talked about his track club. We started Little League in '68. We had about 15 men, fathers, friends that coached those teams. We had 4 Little League teams and 2 Senior League teams. Craig Swartwood helped coach one of those teams. I see Craig here. Ted helped one of those teams. Ronnie McDaniel was one of those coaches. Those kids that played Little League in 1968, in 1976, played for the state championship in baseball. Took that long, but they stayed with it. They worked hard. They helped each other. Let me tell you a few names on that team. Althoff, for one. Pettit, for one. Sandoval, there's a familiar name in Gila County. LaHaye, most of you know Rick. Haynes, Mike Haynes. All those kids started in 1968 and worked their way toward a championship in 1976. So that's what you guys have done, but you've had a pretty good legacy. And 2 of the teams we're going to honor tonight, football and wrestling, basically started the same way. Now, I was a football coach for 4 years. I was about half and half. I was a baseball coach coaching football. We needed a football coach coaching football. In 1973, we hired a guy named Terry Nadinsky. I knew Terry. Terry's no longer with us. Marcia was here, and help me out. I can't hear either. I apologize. Anyway, Terry was a friend of mine. I coached against him. I knew him from going to football clinics and stuff. When the job came open, he was interested. We got him hired. In 1973, we played Round Valley, his first year as head coach. They beat us 80-0. 80-0. We had lost a really good senior class. We had a pretty good freshman class coming in. Turned out to be a really good class. Some of the names, Althoff, Pettit. These guys were 3-sport athletes. When they're done with football or either basketball or basketball or wrestling, and so forth. And that's what it takes. Terry was with us for 18 years and won 2 state championships. And then one came later on after he was gone. The thing about the loss to Round Valley, 80-0, when those guys were freshmen, when they were seniors, they made the playoffs. Played St. John's in the playoffs, and they didn't take 16 teams to the playoffs. In those years, they took 8. They took 2 out of each league. It ain't easy to be champions, is what I'm saying. And congratulations to all of you that got the awards tonight. We used to give that award, it used to be called the Bill Miller Award. Bill Miller was a guy around town that had a lot to do with Basin North development. And one time he told me, he said, "Why don't I just give you all my money?" I was always hitting him up for money, and for something around the school. And we didn't have the Elks Foundation. We had a great, whatever your organization. We didn't have that. We didn't have the casino. Bill told me one time, "Why don't I just give you all my money and then you give me $100 to live on once in a while?" And he sponsored our Outstanding Athlete Awards, and exactly same qualification that you folks have. Okay, let's honor the Hall of Fame football team from 1981 state champions. You guys come on. And Coach Hart. Come on up. I know some of you are here. I wish these guys had been this big when they were playing. Holy moly. Now these guys, you know, I was the AD and kind of a halfway administrator. None of these guys were ever in trouble. They never showed up in the they never showed up in the discipline office. Chuck, you're all.
Well, I didn't know I was going to do this. You guys, would you like it? Yeah. You want it? No. 81 state football champions. Where's Marcia? There's Marcia. Representing her husband, Terry, who's no longer with us. Christy, thank you for being able to be here. And you promised me some history. You're going to send it? Thank you. Who? I know. Okay. What was I going to say? Oh, and somebody else before I forget. Where's Dan Reed? You should be on here too, because Dan was a volunteer that year. He came, I think, 79, wasn't it? 79 or 80. He still denies this, but we were at Penn State they had a football clinic down in Phoenix, Penn State, Joe Paterno and the other guy that got in trouble. And this gentleman walks over. Gentleman, right? He walks over, he's got this big this afro, sits down and he goes, "Hi, my name's Dan Reed." And he says, I got a job in Payson next year. Well, good. What we didn't know was his background. He had already had a lot of success in Mare and some another small school, I believe. Ex-Marine, he coached a Marine team and things like that. But I just did not want to forget his part in the 81 state championship, because I relied on him a lot. I relied on these guys a whole lot. How many of you played defense? I mean, we went both ways, a lot of them, but we had a few that just went one way and played defense. I'm thinking back, I'm just going to run through this. We ended up 12-0. Our theme song that year at home was, in the fourth quarter, we started playing Another One Bites the Dust.
Lori came down to school.
I don't, did they?
Yeah, Lori runs and came down to school.
Another One Bites the Dust. Yeah. It's nice to be in a position as a coach. You pull up in a bus, and oh, by the way, never mind, I won't even say that. But it's nice to pull up in a bus, get off the bus first, open that door, and if they walk by, you just say, "Sick 'em." That's all you need. These guys had the talent, and everybody knows that talent makes you look pretty good, right? I've always said that you really can't have a really good zoo unless you have really good animals. And we had some kids that liked to play football. We got to, I'll just go through the semis. The rest of it was kind of a walk through really. But semis, Round Valley High School, state record 44, not 34, but 44 games in a row. They won 3 or 4 state champions in a row, and came down to, I wish Bob Hallinan was here. Came down, they scored with a few seconds left to pull within 1. Their coach, Todd Workman, was screaming to go for 2, so they decided to go for 2. Tom Fruth, who was not here, had remember he cramped up. He wasn't able to go 100%. They were hollering at Coach Workman to kick the field goal, kick the extra point, we'll beat them in overtime. But he decided to go for 2. This gentleman right here, they're getting ready to line up for 2, and he runs, and I'm the defensive coordinator, man. We're ready to go. We're going to stop him. He's the middle linebacker. He's an important cog in this defense. They're 3 yards from the goal line to score 2 and win the semifinal game. He runs up to me. I said, excuse me. I said, what are you doing here? And he goes, there's 11 out there already. And we went over special teams. They raise your hand if you're on this team. And it was always straight before the game. And I didn't have enough moxie to call a timeout on Terry, because Terry wanted to call a timeout for whatever reason. But they couldn't hear me anyway. I was screaming, but they were way down at that end. Well, who stayed in the ball game and shouldn't have been on that special team? Who was that? Yeah, what? Yeah, his last name is Hart. I didn't know that. It took me a week or 2 to figure out. I was really. So seriously, all the quarterback had to do, state semifinal, team won 44 in a row, winner goes on to play in the state finals. And all the quarterback had to do, because he was not in the ball game, as middle linebacker over the center, all he had to do is tap the center, just do this, right? And what did he do? He took it, reverse pivot, and rolls out to where we have by the extra guy. And Bob Hallinar was the defensive end. I still don't believe Bob touched him. But he did. I didn't think so. But we always taught him, as a defensive coach, I taught him to make them bend. If you can't get them, at least make them bend. So if they're going wide, at least we have a few more steps we might use to catch them. And they're not blocking Sean because there's too many people over there anyway.
It worked out.
It worked. It worked. That's the first thing he said when I called him on it. Hey, it worked out. The young man from Round Valley, the quarterback slips, goes down on knee, he popped up immediately. If you weren't watching, if the referee in the white hat if he'd have blinked, you wouldn't have seen it. It was that quick. Hit and went right back up and kept running. And I looked at the referee, the white hat, he was still on the play side. Yeah, he was down. And so they kick a onside kick, and I talked to Mike Popek, and he couldn't believe that I remembered this, and he's not here tonight, I wish he was. Because he says, Coach, I sat the bench. I was on special teams once in a while. I didn't play. I said, you caught the onside kick that saved the game in that semifinal match. I remember that because they kicked it towards the round other. He goes, how did you remember that? I said, I just remember those high points. I really figured you'd be here. So we go on to the state title game the next year, or next week. And Marcia, Terry was the head coach. And in the state title game, you probably know this, but he never threw the ball once. Not one pass in the state. That's Terry's. Thank you. I remember that. Terry, yeah. 3 things can happen when you throw the ball. 2 of them are bad, right? So don't throw the ball. Plus, you guys remember this on offense? Give me 3 yards to play. That's all I need. And I'm not a Copernicus, but I went 3, 6, 9. We're 1 yard short. We're going to be punting all night long. I never really understood that, but it worked out because we had the studs that loved the game. And when it came down to Blue Ridge the next night, again, the next week, we didn't punt the ball, but we didn't need to because we ran it down their throats. And we were at a point late in the game. You remember this? Blue Ridge was just pounding. And it was 4th and 2, 4th and 1, 4th and 2. Were you in the game? Yeah. I sent Steve in to tell him. I don't even know what it was. Anyway, he finished off the running back, and they came up about yay short. And these guys started hollering, so I knew that I couldn't see the chain, but I could tell. it was over. It was a great run. There's a lot of stories, just like Coach, I know Coach first, but you got a lot of stories. Once you start talking, you think of something else. But we've been here a while, and I want to thank everybody that's here tonight that put up with all of us and all the stories. And if there's any young athletes left here, any high school athletes, again, I want to reiterate, look into the history of Payson High School. Look at the athletes that have come through here and look at some of the programs, what some of these programs have done. It's about leadership, on and off the field. Leadership's a big deal. And don't be looking around for somebody to do it for you. You be that guy or that young girl to do that for you. Does anybody want to say anything? Of course you do. Sean is my, no, that's fine. He's a coach now, so yes, he does want to say something. Go ahead.
I used to be really shy, but now I'm a coach, so I talk as much as Coach Reed and my uncle. But what I wanted to say is, these guys right here, I don't think you really know, because it was a long time ago, what they really did. This guy right here, he's my best friend, best man at my wedding. But when you're on the practice field, he wanted to kill you. He wanted to rip your head off, which I liked, because he'd come at you so hard that if you just did a little wiggle, you got by him, and whoa, he was mad. But we had, they talk about all these kids that grew up here and the history. Well, I was born here, and in 2nd grade we moved away, moved to Tucson. Then eventually my mom and dad got divorced, and she moved me to Round Valley, which that was the best thing she could have done, because really I was a spy for Payson. That's how it ended up. I didn't know that was going to happen, but that's how it ended up. And when I came back to live with my dad, he looked at me and he said, "You're too scrawny," and he put me back in 8th grade. I'd already played freshman year football for Coach Workman at Round Valley. But I had a grandpa that was in the Hall of Fame, and he got the AAIA to give me a hardship. So I got to play 5 years of football at Payson. It was awesome. But what I wanted to say is, when I came back, I don't remember everybody when I was in 2nd grade, but everybody knew me. And it was because of my uncle, Chuck, my uncle Billy, my dad, and the people that were here. Because once you're part of this family, you're family. And I have people coming and talking to me, I'm like, who the heck are you? You act like you know me, but they did know me. And once you're a Longhorn, that doesn't go away. And, Roger, step up a little bit. Roger said he's gained weight since he was in high school, but I think he's lost some weight. And see, we can talk like this about each other because we love each other. Roger was the fastest fat guy I've ever seen in my life. He was a kicker. Huh? Am I not supposed to say that? No, I'm going to get there. So what I'm trying to say is, every position was filled with an athlete. Roger, he would kick the football, but he would beat everybody down the football field and make the first tackle. I remember going to Coach Perch's room, and he's like, "Man, Hart, that was a really good game. You're the blonde bombshell." And I'm like, well, that wasn't me, that was Roger. I just hit the guy low. Roger's the one that was a little bit faster than me sometimes, and he actually broke this guy's neck. It was a heck of a collision, but I got credit for the whole thing, but it was really Roger. But what I wanted to say is, look at Sean Herring. Come here, Sean. No, people got to see your physique. Turn sideways. He's a barrel cactus now with legs. But you talk about an athlete. Everybody talks about Tom, and Tom was amazing. But we had probably 4 running backs that were pretty good. They weren't as good as Tom, but they were good. He was close with just, yeah, he had a weird deal. He just was all over the place. Nobody could tackle him. And then you got Gregory. You hand off the ball to Gregory, and somebody's going to die that tries to tackle him. Because he's going to lower his head, and he's going to go as hard as he can. And he played like his brother Jimbo. So what I'm getting at is we came in the era of, it was a transition from cowboys and fist fighting to we're going to start being athletes. And so we were kind of on the bubble. And you look at, is Greg Hull still here? Where's Bo? Okay, Bo, how many poles did you use to pole vault? 5? 6? We had 1. And our pit was made of net with foam stuffed in it. It was a fish net with foam stuffed in it. That's what I started out as my freshman year. And my coach was Brian York, because Dan Reed is not lying. He don't coach you till you clear 12. And so Brian York was my coach, but we had 1 pole. And I always got mad at myself because, you know, I really thought I should have won state in pole vault, but I could never get past this 1 height. Well, now I know why as a coach. When you get to a certain point, that pole's only going to go so far. And that's it. But I tried to get as most of it out as I can, and I broke it. But what I'm trying to say is these guys right here, you don't even know their potential because we didn't get to see it completely. Because they were in a transition period. These guys were studs. The team we played, did you know 2 of them went to the NFL? I do, because I was a spy for them. I knew everything about them. They were good. 90% of them went to college and played football or basketball. So if you want to know about Hoosiers in basketball, we were the Hoosiers in football. Top Workman was one of the best coaches in the state. I played for him. Sometimes I don't like, he hired me to be his head track coach, but sometimes I don't like him because he will gain any advantage he can. He will cheat if he has to. I knew him. So when we went and played them, there was no doubt in my mind we were going to beat them, but we were the underdogs by a long ways. Mike Kine played for the Saints. I mean, every player they had were amazing. And but none of these guys ever thought we'd lose, and they wouldn't lose. And I love them, and I can't tell you the camaraderie we have. I mean, we might fight sometimes, because I remember Gregory and Bob Hallen are bare naked in the shower, full fist blazing, and then you have Dave Daly, who's the politician, who tried to get between them, and now guys, and they didn't get hit, but Dave got just beat to heck. We had to carry Dave out, but still best friends. I stopped going. I was coming back from the B-line on the highway, and I saw one of my buddies sitting on the side, looked like a hobo or a homeless. And I went to pick him up. My wife says, "Do not stop for that guy." And I'm like, "I'm going to stop for that guy. That's one of my teammates." I'm not going to say who it was. She was really scared, and he was down and out, but we knew each other. And I just want to thank Coach Perch, Coach Reed, my uncle, Coach Nodlinski, because, you know, I was probably 140 pounds, soaking wet. I always wanted to be big like my uncles and my dad. I didn't get my growth spurt until I graduated. And yeah, and then I went and played at NAU, but it was because of these coaches that inspired me to want to be a coach. And I was really a distance runner, not a sprinter or a pole vaulter. But their inspiration is what made me be a coach. And Ashley's given me the cut sign because I made Ashley cry every day at practice. But she got tough. But I just want to tell you, these guys, you don't even know how good athletes they were. Blue Ridge, when they say we were struggling a little bit with Blue Ridge, we weren't. We beat them 30-0 at their homecoming. When we played them at state, they knew they couldn't beat us. So what did they do? All they did was hand off, and they put all their receivers, all their linemen, and their quarterback, and the little running back would try to hide and run behind the whole team. And that's what they did the whole time to burn time so that we wouldn't beat them so bad. Otherwise, they would have been it'd been 35-0. Yeah, they had, anyway, sorry for taking so much time, but I think you should know how good all these, we had an athlete at every position. And I appreciate each and every one of them, and I think they're probably the best football team we've had here. I'm gonna go there.
Thanks, Sean. We're going to get some pictures and we'll get out of here and give it over to Tom Mack. Thanks.
Okay. I can add to that Sean Hart story about that 5 years of high school football. I was the AD, and Sean was a freshman. He came out for football. I'm talking one day to the athletic director at Round Valley, Marlon LeSueur, who was also the basketball coach. Marlon says, "How's Sean doing?" I said, he said, "Sean Hart." I said, "Well, he's doing okay. He's in 8th grade." He said, "No, he's not. He's a freshman." "No, he's not. I just saw Dad the other day. He's in 8th grade." Well, he was a freshman at Round Valley, and he played football. So the red light went on. You know, I'm the AD. I'm the guy that's in charge of all of that. You can't play 5 years of high school football. So I go see Gary, his dad. I said, "Gary, was Sean a freshman at Round Valley last year?" "Hell no." That was his answer. Well, he was. So I had to start doing the paperwork to say that he couldn't play, or he wasn't going to be able to play his senior year. Now, Sean wasn't as tall as this podium, weighed about 120, like you said. So he either had, as far as the rules went, he either had to sit out this year, and then play the next 3, or play 3 and not play his senior year. That would have been the deal. That would have been the rule. Well, in those days, they bent the rules. But I asked the state association, the AIA. Sean mentioned his grandfather, Jix Hart, one of the legendary coaches in the state of Arizona. A guy named Tony Camarena was in charge of the AIA. Tony called me up and said, "No problem with the Hart kid." So that was it. So Sean got to play 5 years of high school football, which was okay. The wrestling team, when I said it ain't easy to be champions, tell you a little bit about the history of the wrestling team at Payson High School. I'm out in the gym one day, and Dennis Perch, not the wrestling coach, history teacher, PE teacher, says to me, I'm going to be leaving. I said, well, okay, but you can't leave till class is over. He said, no, I'm leaving. I'm going to leave. Well, what are you talking about, Dennis? Well, I got a job offer at Gilbert High School. And he said, I'll stay here on one condition, and we start wrestling. Dennis had been working with the younger kids in the community and building a wrestling club, just like Dan did, just like I did with baseball, just like he did with Pop Warner, community effort. So Dennis had got a job offer at Gilbert High School to be the wrestling coach. And I said, what's it going to take to get you away? We were on end of a 2-year block. I said, what's it going to take to get you to stay? You've got to add wrestling. I said, that's it. Can't we wait till the end of the 2-year block? He said, no, I'm going. If we don't add wrestling, I'm going. I said, wait here. So I ran up on the hill. Now that's what we used to call going to the district office. Because the high school was down here, and the district office was up the hill. And that's where the superintendent was. So I basically ran, couldn't do it now, but ran from the high school gym to the district office, went in, talked to the superintendent, told him the situation. I said, we got to do it. We got to add. We can't lose Dennis Perch. I said, he's an excellent teacher. He helps everybody. He helps the football team. He helps the basketball team. He didn't like helping the basketball team, but he helps everybody. He sold popcorn at the baseball games, for Christ's sake. Okay? So, I said, we got to do it. We got to add. So, and he, the superintendent, said to me, okay, you're going to have to sell a board on it. I said, okay, we can do that. Well, we started it. We got an old mat. We're probably like wrestling on that table. It was probably, I don't know, what do you think, 15, 20 years old. It was a 30 by 30. Regulation high school was 38 by 38. So technically we couldn't wrestle on that mat. No referee would come into the gym and say, they were going to wrestle on this 30 by 30 mat. So what we did, we had some PE mats and we stacked them around the edge of the mat. And Dennis got his PE guys, and when they got close to the mat, they would hold it up with their foot against the mat, so when the wrestlers got on that mat there, then it wouldn't separate. And the referees put up with it. So we started the season. We didn't have a schedule. It was a 2-year block. We'd schedule anybody. Dennis came and said, how do we get some matches? I said, well, we're just going to have to call people and see if they can fit us into their schedule. Everybody's schedule is going to be full, but maybe we can get to a tournament or something. So Dennis says, I'm going to send out some letters. Okay. Send them out. So he sent out some letters. We're starting the program. We'd like to know if we can wrestle your team. If not, can we be in a tournament, etc., etc. And he signed it. Sincerely, Dennis Perch. Okay, Perch is the key word. Dennis Perch. So about a week later, Dennis comes in and he throws this thing on my desk and says, look at this. Is this supposed to be funny? I said, we talked about this. So I look at it, and it was his letter. And down at the bottom, someone had written, we won't be able to schedule it this year. Our schedule is full. Call us next year. And it was signed Mr. Fish. And Dennis was mad. He said, he doesn't have to do that. He doesn't have to make fun of me. What's he doing? Who is that guy? I said, Dennis, let me tell you, the athletic director at Blue Ridge's name is Farrell Fish. Right? So anyway, he got over it, and we did put a schedule together. We put a schedule together, and we had home match. We had a home match against Patsy Junction. Now, Patsy Junction was maybe the best at that time, maybe the best in the state. In there with Arizona Deaf School, Holbrook was really good. Benson down south was good. There were a lot of good teams. But we got Patsy Junction. Their coach is Glenn McMahon, who was a national champion at Arizona State University. And they come to wrestle us. Now, as an AD, basketball night, 3 games. You start at 3:30, 4 o'clock game, freshman game, JV game, varsity game. About 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, you're locking the doors and going home. So after you work all day as an AD or a teacher, you have three basketball games and then you get to go home. Well, we set the gym up about 6:30. Patsy Junction comes in, 7 o'clock, we start the match, and at 7:30 the match is over. And I'm thinking, this ain't that bad. 3 hours basketball, a half an hour rested, I'm good with that. Well, they beat us pretty good. And Dennis came over afterwards and shook my hand, and he said, we're going to get better. And as you well know, they got better. I think it was that week that he hung the sign on the door, those who stay will be champions. And they certainly, boys certainly stayed. Those 8 kids that started the match, or that started the program, they started it. They were the basis for the first state championship, which we're honoring tonight, and then 9 more. The turning point, and I've always said this, was we had not won a conference championship at Payson High School. From the time I started in '67, and in '72 we had that pretty good group of athletes. And in '76 we hosted the region tournament. And of course Patsy Junction was in our region. We hosted it. Kathy, Dennis's wife, was a scorekeeper. We get down to the last match, and it's close. I know it's close. I don't know how close. So I go to Kathy, and a guy named, our heavyweight name was Paul Benson, and he had to wrestle Hayden High School. And I asked Kathy, can we win this thing? She said, well, Paul's got to win, and he's got to pin. Okay, so we're in the last match, the heavyweight. Like heavyweights do, they pushed each other around for the first match, first period. Second period, Paul gets around behind him, puts him down, puts him on his back, pins him. We win the region championship. That's the first one ever for Payson High School. The wrestlers set the tone. From that time on, 76, state championship in 80, football championship in 80, state runners-up in baseball, Dan's track team, girls won the state championship. The wrestlers set the tone for the success from that point on to be champions. When we won the state basketball championship on Saturday, the next Tuesday, we started the baseball season, and 8 baseball starters had played in that state basketball championship game. That's the key to our success in those years at Payson High School. Every athlete participated in 3 sports. Dennis recruited I knew when Dennis was recruiting wrestlers, if he had them by the ear and was walking down the hall with them, he was recruiting them to wrestle. If he told them if they weren't out for basketball, they needed to be out for wrestling. So, with that state championship team, come up please.
Hey, you guys come on up. If you're here, the 1980 state championship wrestling team, come on up, guys. Come on up. And as they're coming up, I want to mention to you guys that when these guys set the bar in 1980 for the first state championship in wrestling, let me tell you, the bar became so high, the expectations were so real that every team after that looked to these guys. I want to put some names down. And you know, if they got in weight classes, it'd be funny because there's about 5 or 6 of them that'd be in the same weight. Big. All right, let's do it this way. This is what an old state championship trophy looks like in wrestling. The insignia is gone, I didn't know that, but it is in the trophy case. But here's the key, guys. The key is that when these kids come back, I call them kids, they're grandpas now. You understand that? They're grandpas. And when they come back, they look, the first thing they do is they look in the trophy cases and they look for their names. And when they see their names on that, then they show it to their grandkids. And they look up on the walls and they see pictures and they say, "Who's that?" That's me. And they looked a little different 40 years ago. I'm going to read some names, okay? Can you help me, Greg? Can you hold that? I mean, I'm old, I got to put glasses on, but I want you to know some names, so I'm going to look away from you. All right, here you go. These guys, Gregory Armstrong's the guy holding the trophy. All right, Jeff Crabtree is the skinny guy. Where's Jeff? He's still skinny. Jeff Crabtree, I'm going to look over here. Jimbo Armstrong's right here. Right here. Jack Arnold couldn't be with us today. Ken Daly. Ken, here he is. Ken Daly. Great guy. Wrestled 112. Is that about right? I guessed. Good. Let's go on. Ken Daly, Sean Herring. Sean, you kind of got giggled that last time. I won't say a word. All right? Won't say a word. Sean Herring, Kelly Owens. I didn't recognize Kelly. He looks older than Grandpa Time. I mean, I've never seen anybody. And let me tell you, he's a detective. He found out a lot of these guys. I'm going to go on here. Kelly Owens, Jack Rose couldn't make it tonight. Rob Nunley, we couldn't find. Danny Rackle, where's Dan? Danny was a state champion for Payson High School, and he's a great guy. Larry Stanton, James Waterman, where's James? There he is. His grandson was the guy that was the quarterback a couple nights ago. Last night. Where's Gary Isles? I talked to Gary today, and I said, "Gary, you wrestled 119, didn't you?" He said, "Yeah, I wrestled 119. You told me to wrestle 126. I wrestled 132. And he said, there was a day you made me wrestle 154. When he said that, I felt bad. 40 years later, I said, "Man, that's cruel and unusual punishment." Yeah. So, these are the guys, and I gotta share, this guy lives in southern Utah, and let me tell you, he's built a legacy up there. This guy's got all kinds of state championship teams at a place called Banquet, and it's a little bitty old town, and it's a farmers and ranchers, and those kids are just as tough as our kids, I think, yeah. It's been a long night. Dan Reed drew this picture of Jeff Crabtree, and he gave it to Chuck. Is Chuck and Dad still here? Chuck and Diane. This is the funniest thing I've ever seen. He gave this picture, and I'm carrying Jeff, and he's a skeleton. And I say, in the caption, Dan Reed, he's a cartoonist, in the caption it says, "Congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Crabtree, your son finally made weight." Hey, these guys, I hope I didn't forget anybody, but these guys, these are the ones that set a bar in regards to wrestling. Okay, before them there was a 1979 state championship team, and you know what? The teams after these guys grew in regards to wrestling. They just got, like I said, they got better and better and better, and they were just good young men, and now they're grandmas and grandpas. Grandpas, your grandparents. Yeah, Muriel's a grandmother over there. But as we close, it was a blink of an eye 40 years later. And that's how fast it goes. High school athletics is 4 years. And I would encourage every one of you, with your young people, with your grandkids, whoever they are, get involved in athletics, because the ride is wonderful for 4 years and good things can happen. I don't have anything else to say except I'm just prouder than punch of all these guys, and again I tell you, they set the bar and it's real special. Thank you guys, thank you very much. Yeah. Let's give them this.
Jake?
Yes, sir.
Are we ready for the 50-50? I think it's raining big time.
We'll draw it. It is a green ticket, I believe.
Everybody grab their 50-50 tickets. This is the moment. It's a pretty big purse.
It's at $900, I believe.
A little bit like $900.
$900. I'm gonna have Heiser pull it. And hey, before we go, I think that this is the ending thing. Man, what? You got a ticket in there? We're not letting you pull it in, Heiser. We'll let Brian Young maybe. Everybody,
the baseball coach.
What a great evening. And again, thank you to Dan Reed. Mark, are you going to do that?
I've got a big thing here that
I'll be quiet. We'll
Tom wants me to read.
Good. Here we go. Who's the winner? We got 679-289. 679-289. All right, right on the side.
It's one of the Hall of Famers. First of all, let's give all the Hall of Fame new members and the presenters a big hand. It's been a wonderful night. Payson High School athletics and Payson Hall of Fame members want to thank the following. First of all, I want to thank the new Hall of Famers and the committee co-chairman, Don Heiser. Where's Don? Big hand for Don. Hall of Fame co-chairman, Dan Reed. Dan. Hall of Fame committee member, Dennis Perch. Hall of Fame committee member, Chuck Hart. Hall of Fame committee member, Ted Pettit. Hall of Fame committee member, Jim Guggenauer. He's right over here. You guys didn't see him tonight, but he's a big-time fundraiser for us. Thank you, Jim. We also want to thank the Payson Fan Club and our sponsors. Mogollon Sporting Association, which Jim's a big part of. Athletic Director Ryan Shirley, thank you, Ryan. All the volunteers, the people that did the 50-50s and the front desk and all that. I want to thank Jake. Where's Jake? Jake, where are you? We want to thank you. Oh, he's out there somewhere. We also want to thank all the Hall of Fame members from the past years, as well, and we welcome you back next year in 2022. And we also want to thank our host, Mazatzal Casino. My name's Mark Boster. I was your MC tonight, and good night now.
And thank you very much, Mark. Great job tonight.